All right, Joseph.
Yes.
You see a flash of light, a bright, bright flash of light. You're driving in your patrol car, and you realize, man, this is it. This is Armageddon. What do?
I'm calling in.
You gonna burn comp time?
I'm gonna advise dispatch. You know, everybody be walking each other doing that. Actually, dispatch, we have a nuclear device going.
Can I get a supervisor out here? No supervisor.
Give me a time check for this nuclear device going off.
I need a supervisor out here in my scene, and nobody answers.
I'm gonna clear the information. I'm going home is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I would suspect, right?
Yeah.
I only bring this up because it seems like we're inching closer and closer as days go by to a nuclear war with Russia. It just seems like that's what they want. And when I say they, I mean the people who are running this country into the side of a mountain seem to really want to start some kind of nuclear conflagration with, Russia.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And
it
doesn't make sense to me, but I only bring it up, I think, again in another video because, just having read a lot of political literature over the years, I always ignore what comes out of Yale University and Harvard because they're useless,
Yeah.
They're sucking from the tit of insanity. And UC Berkeley was gone decades ago, and they're just a psych operation now of misinformation.
Yeah.
But when Princeton University gets into it, where they start talking about how they think a nuclear exchange would go with Russia, that's when I start paying attention because I've always, the political magazines and stuff like that come out of Princeton University, I've always found to be very serious and a little more thorough than other universities. And now they're talking about what would happen in a nuclear exchange with Russia. So that's why I'm actually starting to really get concerned with it, to the point that, you got to start thinking about, do you want your family in Houston? Because, Houston's number 2 on the list of targets. That's what people don't realize. If you actually look at nuclear priority targets, Houston's number 2. And the reason is you can look at a map of the United States all you want. That doesn't tell you much. But if you look at a map of natural gas pipelines, mm-hmm. which is what I always tell people to do, mm-hmm. we can pull one up for the audience, you start to understand the critical infrastructure that Russia would target. And the critical infrastructure that Russia would target is Pasadena, Texas. Right? Now, there's that old story right after 9/11, 2001, where the FBI was picking up chatter from Al-Qaeda and all these other, alleged terrorist organizations floating mm-hmm. around. And they kept hearing them talk about Pasadena. Well, the FBI being the FBI.
Thought it was California?
Yeah, Pasadena. So they flew out to Pasadena, California. They're like, well, what critical target is out here in Pasadena, California? And some, low-level FBI agent in California was like, yeah, they're not talking about California. They're talking about Pasadena, Texas. And literally the agents in charge of the FBI were like, well, what's in Pasadena, Texas?
There is a Pasadena, Texas?
Yeah.
Sure, that's what they said.
Go to it. And they did. And as they were flying in, they're like, oh my God. Yeah. And then they landed, and all Pasadena is a giant critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
The whole city, And refinery after refinery, they're like, what do we do to protect these? And then that's when they started spending all that federal money on securing critical infrastructure, right? And so all these refineries in Channelview and the refineries in Pasadena and Deer Park and all that started getting these really, nice fences erected around them and mm-hmm. concrete barricades, security teams, 24/7, It was just kind of funny to watch that happen. What people don't realize is the Russians think the same way. They're like, well, what critical infrastructure would we target? Well, the same that Al-Qaeda would target, but with nuclear weapons. So, mm-hmm. I just think it's funny that, people, it's so outside anyone's normalcy bias that mm-hmm. there's literally no plan for it, right? So if you, look through contingency plans for municipal police departments like HPD, there's nothing in there about, what do we do if a tactical nuke goes off in Pasadena? What do we do? Because just like on September 10th, 2001, if I'd walked into a command staff meeting and said, hey, what would we do if people started crashing planes into buildings? They'd be like, yeah, you're fired.
Get out of here, weirdo.
Yeah. And then, of course,
And the next day.
yeah. And I mean, because the week before 9/11, it's true. I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's a stockbroker. And I said, we were just talking about how likely it is, people are willing to die for what they believe in. It was kind of an esoteric kind of conversation. And I concluded, nobody's really willing to die for what they believe in anymore. That was literally a week before 9/11. People really are willing to die for what they believe in.
Yeah.
Okay. And I really believe that if the Russians feel threatened and if they feel like there is nowhere else to go, there is no other option, they'll detonate a nuke. Why not? Because at that point, what do they have to lose? And I think that's where we're pushing them into. We're pushing them into this corner where they have nothing left to lose. And I think the CIA is very good at that, right? They're very good at putting people in corners. Like, when you corner a snake, its only option is to bite you. Okay, well, that's what they're doing with Russia. Their only option is going to be to bite us. And it's going to be very painful. So, seriously, you're on duty, you're in your patrol car, you're driving, you see something. Now you've survived the initial, 1.2 megaton blast, right? That kind of vaporizes everything within 3 miles. What do? Do you literally just leave?
Well, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why
would you? Unless you're going to get your family.
Well, of course.
And then stay. Then leave. But why would you stay? If it's, if it's in Pasadena, that's just down the road. Okay, there's not going to be, the paychecks aren't coming, that's for sure. Okay, they're going to close the book for sure.
They're going to close the
closing book. That means you can't take vacation. There would be. At that point, we're talking.
Because I remember when
Mad Max,
when Katrina hit New Orleans, right? It wiped out the city. And suddenly there were all these New Orleans Police Department vehicles driving around Houston.
Yeah, I remember what I'm pulled up.
I saw you had 3 or 4 of them. And like half the police department just left New Orleans and came to Houston. All over the city. You would see New Orleans police officers. And I was kind of like embarrassed for them a little bit, only because Tropical Storm Allison, flooded many parts of Houston. Mm-hmm. And we didn't run. We didn't leave.
Yeah, there was no reason for them to steal police cars and come to Houston.
Yeah.
None.
I don't know if a nuclear warhead going off in Pasadena, Texas would be the same thing as a hurricane flooding your city from east to west.
Not even close.
You don't think?
No, well, no. There's going to be lawlessness and radiation and nothing good is going to be happening. So there's no reason to stay. That's something to run from. Nukes run from those.
So according to Princeton University, which is why I bring this up, the first attack from Russia would go after critical infrastructure first. So whatever cities are holding things that are critical to the economic survival of the United States.
Critical infrastructure.
They wouldn't necessarily attack, for example, Air Force bases, because what you would get from that would not benefit them as much as, say, taking out every natural gas pipeline in the United States.
Yes.
Okay. And also attacking the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which I guess preemptively Biden has decided to empty it. So it's no longer it's no longer critical.
Exactly. Took one target off.
Well, we've emptied the SPR, so we know it's no longer critical. Oh, okay, thank you. So places like Oklahoma would get hit. Freeport, Texas, people don't realize a large portion of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is in Freeport. Mm-hmm. And also there's one in California, and there's one on the East Coast, and I think it's in New Jersey, but I don't remember. Nevertheless, that's actually the first targets on the list.
A lot of people think it's in one place.
No.
That's what a lot of people say. Where is that?
Yeah, it's like 8 different places.
Yeah, it couldn't be in one place,
Yeah, because
it's too big.
Throughout these nuclear Armageddon movies, they always make it look like the targets that would get hit first are where we keep our nuclear warheads. And that's actually not true, because the Russians know that they don't have the ability to put a warhead into the ground deep enough.
Yeah, there's no, it wouldn't
affect it.
Take out that warhead.
Yeah, so it'd be better to cripple the United States economically. And that's why I know Pasadena's on the list. So, okay. So all that being said is I'm really starting to think it's getting serious. And, you know, the people who watch our channel are mostly police officers, let's be honest. I think each officer kind of has to start coming up with an idea of what are they going to do if that happens, because it sure seems like this administration is pushing for it. Like they are doing everything they can to egg on a nuclear exchange with Russia. And I just find it disturbing as hell.
Chief Fenner is turning it?
No. the Biden administration.
So I didn't hear him say that.
No.
I'm kidding, folks. I'm not that dumb.
But and also the fact that there's this absence of any kind of critical response. Like there's no plan for a response by any large municipal police department or sheriff's department or state police or anything as to what they would do if that happened. Or is everybody just going to be running for their life? You're on your own. If, in my personal humble opinion, if there's a catastrophic event, you're on your own. I don't know what you would do if you're a jailer at the jail downtown. Like, do you just leave? You know, I mean, you got people locked up in the jail facility and some really bad shit has happened. You know, do you just leave them and go? Do you leave them locked up?
Well, do you open it up so they can kill you?
Well,
I mean, at this point, it's going to be Mad Max.
I know that's exactly my point.
You know, it's like maybe somebody will come in and free them, but you're the jailer there. They don't like you. Okay. And there's some really, really bad folks in jail.
Yes, there are.
Okay. So
there are some bad folks who've been released from jail.
I mean,
still killing.
Exactly.
Still running around killing.
Yeah. Well, luckily there won't be any in jail. They'll be out on bail, I guess.
That's true. Yeah.
You're assuming they're in jail. Yeah. Yeah. Let all those Trump guys out of there.
That's terrible.
That's the only people going to be in jail.
That's true. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Hey, it's just a thought experiment, you know, something to consider. It's thought experiments like this that could have, I think, helped, you know, like people in New York before 9/11, had they asked, you know, the question, well, what do we do in the event of a terrorist attack? Which apparently now, you know, 20 years later, we look back and we realize they had absolutely no plan whatsoever.
Well, and how do you plan? You can't plan for something like that. I mean, there's
you can engage in a thought experiment. What if?
Well, yeah, and what they have now is just the mobile command post, you know, the mobile field forces and all that stuff.
But we know what it's like when our city gets shut down. Hell, in February of 2021, the entire state got shut down. I mean, they just hit the giant off switch to the state of Texas. You know, what happened then? Right?
Yeah.
Nobody could have ever imagined in February of 2021, 21 years into the 21st century, that the second largest state in the United States would hit the off switch and just turn everything off. All right. See you later. See y'all in a week.
You don't need any power.
Yeah. In the middle of a winter ice storm, you know, you're good. What? I mean, you know,
just yet another, experiment what they could get away with.
And fortunately for the police department, nothing really happened. Everyone stayed in their house. Everyone stayed off the roadway. There weren't like, you know, a huge rash of robberies.
Why do you think they want you wearing a mask inside?
There wasn't I'll just finish it out. There weren't a rash of robberies or murders or anything like that they were able to pretty much keep things together only because people decided to shut themselves down. So luckily,
everybody's wearing a mask inside anyway.
So, yeah, that's true. But thanks for joining us here on DHR. We enjoy your comments below, so feel free to comment and add your 2 cents. You know, we always think about, you know, what could the future hold and how to prepare for it. So we look forward to your comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.